Hey, what is going on, everybody? Let me know that you can see me and hear me. I'll be pulling up the chat here. Awesome. I'm super excited for tonight. Now, I do apologize for the quality here. I'm working on a laptop from a basement of the house that we're staying at, and there are currently 8 children under the age of 5 that are within about 25 feet of me. So if you hear some screaming and crying and all of that, that's on me. My bad. But I wanted to get this in before I hit the road. This is pretty huge. What Chris Grant has sort of tried to sort of put on here. So for those of you who don't know, Chris Grant has partnered with a guy named Corey to put on a wholesale challenge. Now, most people here are probably familiar with Chris Grant, with the OAC, the Online Arbitrage Challenge, all of that. I don't really put my sort of stamp of approval on things. Chris is one of the very few people where it's like, okay, if Chris does something, I'm fairly confident that it's going to be incredible. He every time basically under promises and over delivers. So he has sort of hitched his wagon to Corey. Now, I wasn't familiar with Corey prior to sort of talking to Chris about this all. And I haven't taken this. This is a brand new challenge. So I haven't gone through it myself yet. But the plan is to go through it sort of with you guys. We're going to talk to Corey here. And ideally, I mean, you'll see people do like sales pitch videos all the time, things like that. I don't want to convince anyone that they need to go out and buy something. I want to do a standalone free training for you guys where I can bring someone in who knows a whole heck of a lot about what he does. I mean, Corey's been selling on Amazon. I think he said like 6 years or something now. Over that time, he sold over $10 million of stuff. Like, he knows his stuff. He's been doing wholesale now for a while. And he's coming on tonight to show us actively some of the really cool things that we can do even outside of the challenge. I mean, I'm not talking like, oh yeah, you have to pay us money to find out the real tricks. No. Like, we're going to teach you some cool stuff tonight. I'm going to try to do some giveaways here at the end. So stick around to the end of this and I'll be giving some stuff away. But yeah, I wanted to just bring Corey in, see what he can teach us, see if there's some money that we can make from just this video. And then if people want to dive in more, if they want to sign up for something like the wholesale challenge, we're going to put some links down below. I'll add even more freebies to that to sort of make the Hustle Buddies offer the best offer out there. But yeah, so without further ado, let's welcome Corey. Corey, what is up, man?
Hey man, how's it going? I appreciate you having me. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, happy Saturday. We squeezed this in just in time. I was just telling
Yep.
Corey, I'm leaving to drive back home. It's a 17-hour car ride with our 4 kids that are
Oof.
5 and under. I'm literally, as soon as we're done with this interview, like closing the laptop and walking into the car. The kids are getting loaded into the car now. And they're just gonna wait there.
That's gonna be a long night, so best of
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah. All right. So Corey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what sort of have you been doing in the Amazon space? And how have you been doing that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, like I said, thank you so much for having me on to talk to your audience. And so for those of you that don't know me, I have kind of gotten into the social media space really as of this year. So I'm primarily on Twitter. I'm on YouTube as well. But the reason I got onto social media was to start sharing some of my experience selling wholesale on Amazon. So I've been selling on Amazon since May of 2017. I was a college student in 2017. I graduated from college, and literally 2 days later, I started going around to every thrift store in my town, searching for used books to flip on Amazon. I'd stumbled upon Reezy Resells, which I'm sure probably a lot of you guys are familiar with. You know, he's an OG in the space. He had a lot of good content back then, going to thrift stores, buying textbooks for 50 cents, a dollar, $2, selling them for 20, 50, $100. And that really just appealed to me at the time, especially as a college student looking to make some extra cash kind of on the side.
I feel like
So I
that's
did.
how like almost all of us started, was those
Oh,
used textbooks.
that's how like, yeah, I feel like that's how a lot of people that have been around for a while got started. And yeah, shout out to Reezy, because like I said,
Oh, for sure.
he was like the inspiration for me, and I know for a lot of other people too. So to kind of fast forward a little bit, so I was doing the kind of the thrift store book model for a while, ended up getting into online arbitrage, kind of get towards like the end of 2017, did online arbitrage all through the end of 2017 and then all of 2018. Now, this whole time, I'm actually working a full-time job, big corporate company. I'm doing software sales. And like, many of you might be now, or like many of you might have been in the past, I just wasn't happy with the role. I felt like there was something more that I could be doing. So really started to try to grow my Amazon business on the side. And then in January of 2019 is actually when I discovered Amazon Wholesale. I discovered it from a guy on YouTube called Watch Me Amazon, Larry Labarsky, another guy who's just OG, awesome guy,
Fantastic stuff.
been
Yeah.
around forever, just really good content. So really dove headfirst into wholesale. In 2019, I think we did 292K in revenue that year, 100% wholesale. And then in, let's see, 2020, we did 990K. And I remember that specifically because we were 10K off a million. That was my goal for the year. And I was like really upset with myself because I'm like, man, that's kind of what I was going for. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of an arbitrary goal. And that next year, we actually ended up doing 3.1 million. So we more than 3X the next year.
Wow.
Yeah, and then 2022, which was last year, we did 4.3 million. So we've really grown revenue at a pretty good clip every year. A lot of that has come from trial and error, right? Like learning the strategies that I'm going to be teaching in the challenge, learning the strategies that I teach for free on YouTube already, that I teach for free on Twitter already. And I've pretty much tried to take that 6 years of knowledge, compress it into a 1 week, call it crash course, if you want to call it, with a live component, question and answer component, all of that to go with it. And that is what the challenge is all about. And like you said, Chris Grant, everything he touches seems to turn to gold. So it made a lot of sense when he came to me and asked about a wholesale challenge. I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, especially after the success of the OA challenge. So that's kind of my background. That's kind of why I'm here talking to you today.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. So let me post some links out there for those of you guys who wanted to read ahead and check that out. I see Chucky over on Facebook was saying he also started with the whole used book game. Yeah, I feel like
Yep,
so many of us started flipping the used books and then sort of graduated onto bigger, better things. But no, that's
exactly.
awesome, man. So yeah, I wanted to it something that's really important to me when I do videos like this is like I want to actively teach people something that's like crazy cool. I don't want to like put people through that like fluffy sales videos like, oh, I know what this is. They're just trying to upsell me. Like I want this
Yep,
to sort of be like a standalone super
like
deep
tactical.
crazy tactical training that
Yep,
they can actively use like go tonight, try this out, sweet, awesome, that worked. And if that's all, then great. And then if they
yep.
want more, then they can sort of like, okay, well then sure, I'll sign up for the wholesale challenge.
Absolutely. And so that's exactly what I'm prepared to share with you guys today. So
Sweet.
if you've been following me on socials for any amount of time, you probably heard me talk about a tool called Smart Scout. Now, Smart Scout was actually built by a guy named Scott Needham. Scott Needham owns Buyboxer, which at one time was a top 10 Amazon seller. So he's, again, someone who's been around the block forever, built this tool. It has a ton of different applications, but it happens to work really well for wholesale. And it happens to work really well for finding brand direct wholesale accounts to try to open. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys tonight. Really, this method is super simple. Smart Scout is required for what I'm going to show you. So if you are interested in signing up for Smart Scout, they offer a free trial. I actually have a code somewhere on my socials for a discount. And then if you do end up joining the challenge, we have a whole PDF of software discounts, Smart Scout being one of them. So
Nice.
that's just another something extra that you can kind of get your hands on. And I can show you guys exactly, like, this is literally the method that I've used to find all of my brand direct accounts. Anytime we go looking for new brand direct accounts, what I'm about to show you is exactly what my team does now, what I have done in the past.
That's all. And I feel like that's like the biggest sort of barrier with wholesale is people's like, okay, how do I find a wholesaler? How do I find
Right.
one?
That's a
Like, is
number.
it
It's
a
a number one
wholesaler?
question I get. It's
Yeah, yeah.
literally the number one question I get. It's either how do I find suppliers, or I have a couple of suppliers, but I can't find any good products. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually spend a whole day next week during the challenge going like a whole day dedicated to each of those topics that I just
And
mentioned.
like I've even seen people pay money, like, oh, send me like a wholesale list of like what are the good
Yeah.
wholesalers?
And
And
those
like
are
that
never good.
that
Those are
doesn't
not
work. If it
right. That's not
worked,
how it
they
works.
wouldn't be good wholesalers.
Right. Exactly. So at the end of the day, the best accounts come from that in the trenches
Mm-hmm.
work of, reverse sourcing brands, or Googling to page 10, page 15, page 20 of Google to find those distributors that maybe they've been around since the 60s. They haven't updated their website since 2001, but they have really good relationships with some brands and are possibly suppliers that you can work with.
For
Right.
sure. Awesome. Yeah, I think you should be allowed to share your screen. There should be a button
I
down there
think
at the
so.
center.
Yep. So let's see that. Okay, so can you guys see Smart Scout here?
Let's see. There we go. All right.
Okay, let me get you here on the other screen. Okay, perfect. So here we are in Smart Scout. So it might look a little overwhelming at first because, like I said, the tool has been built for sellers of all kinds. It's built for private label sellers, it's got features for wholesale sellers, but we're actually only going to be using one specific feature for today's video. So we're going to be going over to the left hand side of the screen here and we're going to click on brands. Okay. So I'm going to click on brands. And what that is going to show me is I can choose a lot of different filters here to really filter down the exact types of brands I'm looking for. Okay. And so I like to keep it simple. All I do is I choose a category. So I'm going to choose a main category here at the top. And let's just choose a random one. Let's choose pet supplies, for example. And then I'm not even going to set any more filters. All I'm going to do is search. Okay. So that's going to show me, it says the top 20K brands. It actually showed us 38,386 different brands in the pet category. Okay. So that's obviously a lot of different brands. That is going to be way more than we could ever want to go through. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to come in here to these columns and filter down a little further. Okay. So when it comes to the column filtering, these are the exact filters I use, and I try to keep it simple. So the first thing I want to filter is I want to filter the Amazon in stock rate because I want to see brands that are not dominated by Amazon, right? If they're dominated by Amazon or if all the SKUs are being carried by Amazon, it might not be the best fit for us at this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter that to show me, I want to see brands where Amazon is on the listing a maximum of 60% of the last 90 days. That's what this filter right here means. Okay. So we're going to set max 60 and you see how it actually only narrowed down about 1,000 brands so far. So we're going to put in a few more filters. We're now going to come over here to average number of sellers and we are going to filter that to be a minimum of 3. Now, the reason for that is we want to filter out any brands that are private label brands, right?
Yep.
Which might only have 1 or 2 sellers. So that's the logic there. So we're going to do minimum 3. And then the last filter that I choose to use, now this is not required. I just like to use this filter because at the end of the day, I have the most luck, and I'm sure you guys will have the most luck reaching out to some of these small to maybe like mid-size, kind of more niche brands, as opposed to these ones that are doing, $27 million a month right here, Arm& and Hammer. I mean, we're just not going to get a brand direct account with Arm& and Hammer. So I like to come in here and let's say a minimum of 30,000 a month, and let's say a maximum of 300,000 a month in revenue. And this is estimated as well. So you'll see how that actually narrowed us down to about 348 brands, right? We started with 38,000. Now we're at 348. So this is going to be a much more segmented, a much more tailored list that we are then going to go through kind of one by one. And when you click on the brand here, it's actually going to open the brand up in a new tab and it's going to show all the listings in Amazon. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And we're actually going to start with, let's sort by, and the first thing to do here, I guess, would actually be to sort the columns. I like to sort by monthly revenue and I like to start with the smaller brands. Oops. Yep. I like to sort with the smallest first. And then let's just choose kind of like a random number. Let's not start at the very bottom. Let's start here. Okay, so let's see Zach and Zoe here. And so we're going to click on this brand and it is going to open them up in a new tab here on Amazon. So you'll see where Smart Scout is not perfect, right? So this is telling us this is Zach and Zoe, a brand in the pet supplies category. When we open it up, I'm actually not seeing anything that resembles a pet product in that category, right? So Smart Scout's not perfect. There are going to be some results like this. So we're going to exit that one out and move on to the next one. Let's try Mega Ray Pet Care. Okay, so this is definitely a match. So we're seeing this looks like a brand of like light bulbs
And I
for
think
pet
real quick,
products.
Corey, I think it's just showing us the Smart Scout screen.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you popped over to Amazon.
Yep, I did. Okay, let me see here. How would I
If
do that?
you unshare and then reshare, you might be like sharing the specific tab, and you might
Oh,
need to
yep,
share the
yep.
window.
You're right. Okay, let's see. Let's share the window. Okay, so this should be better
There we
now.
go.
So we've got Mega Ray Pet Care here. And what I did is I just clicked on the brand name and that opened it up in a new tab here.
Perfect.
Okay, so here I'm seeing what looks to be a match, right? I'm seeing Mega Ray. Looks like it is looks like they're lamps, right, for some reptilian animals. Now, there's a couple things I'm looking for here now that we've got the brand opened up on Amazon. The first thing I'm looking for is I want to see FBA sellers on these listings, right? And so I'm using this Chrome extension. It's called DS Amazon Quick View. It's completely free, and it is going to show us this little box right here. Okay. And like I said, I want to see FBA sellers. And the reason for that is if there are other FBA sellers on the listing, I know that somebody somewhere is sourcing this product and they're sourcing it profitably, right? So that means that most likely there's an opportunity for us to do the same. Okay. So once I've confirmed that there are FBA sellers selling this brand, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover over a couple of their listings. And I'm just going to confirm that, like I said, Amazon is not dominating these top products. Because even though we filtered those brands out with Smart Scout, Smart Scout's not perfect. And sometimes some brands that are dominated by Amazon slip through the cracks. So by hovering over the products here, I see the Keep a Graph pop up in the bottom right. And I am actually not seeing any Amazon on the listing, or not very much at all. Okay. And I'm seeing what appears to be a pretty steady price. So let's open this product up in a new tab and let's see who it is that's actually selling this brand here. Okay. So when I open up the new offer count here, so I'm just looking to confirm that ideally, I just want to make sure there's not like an exclusive agreement in place here, right? So if there was like one FBA seller dominating every listing and there's only one, then chances are, if it's not the brand themselves, it's somebody that has an
Right.
exclusive agreement in place with that brand. And we typically will avoid those because it's hard to talk a brand out of working with their exclusive reseller. So I'm seeing, so that guy's FBM. I'm seeing a couple of different FBA sellers here, right? And then when I come down here and look at the Keepa, I'm also seeing anywhere from 3 to 4 up to 6, 7 sellers on this listing at any given time over the course of the last year. So that's a good sign to me. That tells me that, like I said, there might be an opportunity for us to buy this product either directly from the brand or from an authorized distributor and turn around and sell it on Amazon. So this is what I consider to be a good lead, right? This is a solid lead. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to Google Mega Ray Pet Care, and I'm going to try to find their contact information.
And now something I noticed while he's pulling that up is there's sort of, I mean, you can correct me if you disagree here, but there's sort of like two ways to come at finding a wholesale supplier to buy from. You can come at it as far as like you're trying to find the brands and you're going right to the very top. So you're buying directly from the brand. And then you can also buy from distributors. So doing it this way,
Exactly.
this is you're trying to find those like smaller to mid-size brands, and just go directly to them. There are other ways to do this where you can sort of talk to a distributor who will carry a bunch of different brands. And honestly, I mean, both of them are completely viable. We've had success doing both ways. But I think that this is, in my opinion, that what he's showing right now is kind of the easier way for people who are just starting,
I would
because the
agree.
distributors, like, there's so many bad actors in that space.
Yep.
So many, like, I get messages all the time like, hey, what do you think about this distributor? Is this legit? Are they safe to
Right.
buy
I get
from?
those
Like,
all the time.
there's that's it's hard to give you just a yes or no. Like, I'm gonna have to spend some time. Whereas if you just buy right from the brand, of course it's legitimate. It's the brand.
Right. So not only do you know what you're getting and you know it's legitimate merchandise because you're getting it directly from the brand, I think this is an easier route for newer sellers because telling a newer seller to go directly to a distributor, most likely a lot of these distributors are used to dealing with large retail
Hmm.
companies, right? That are buying tens of thousands, $50,000, $100,000 worth of inventory at a time. That's not to say you can't work with a distributor as a new seller. That's kind of how I got my start. But I guarantee you'll find more luck using this approach. And not to mention the fact that distributors might carry 20,000 different products.
For sure.
Whereas this one brand, Mega Ray Pet Care might have 3 products. They might have 20, they might have 50, but you can source through 50 products in, 30 minutes to an hour.
Hmm.
Whereas a big distributor catalog of 20,000 products, to really do that right, you want to go through manually, line
Yep.
by line, which naturally can take, I mean, literally weeks for some of these
For
bigger
sure.
catalogs. So yeah, so I mean, really to kind of get right back into what we were talking about. So it looks to me like this is actually Mega Ray Pet Care's wholesale website. So I'm seeing welcome to the Mega Ray wholesale website. Let's see. So this site is dedicated to allowing even the smallest of pet shops, museums, zoos, breeders, and rehabilitation centers, and any legitimate online distributor to buy directly from the creators of Mega Ray Wholesale. So there you have it. So we're in the right place, right? This is exactly where we want to be if we want to buy these products wholesale. So I'm looking for a couple of things here, right? So I'm looking for either like a wholesale tab. So I'm not seeing a wholesale tab here, or I'm looking for sometimes brands will have a become a dealer tab
Mm-hmm.
on their website, and a dealer just means a retailer. So if they have either a wholesaler or become a dealer on their website, that's going to be the best place to start. That's usually going to be home to their application, where you literally just download that application on the spot, fill it out, submit it to them, and then follow up, right? Because these guys get a lot of applications like these. So the key is going to be in the follow up. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten an actual good brand direct account on the first attempt. It is almost always taken 3, 5, 7, 10, 50 follow ups, right?
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
Totally. So here they've got their about us. You can look into that to get a little more information about the company. But where I would go now is the contact us. And so, okay, so right here I'm seeing a sales@megaraypetcarelighting.com email address. So more than likely that inbox is going to be monitored by somebody on the sales team, somebody that is most likely incentivized for you to buy their product,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't see an application. I see a sales email and I see a phone number, right? So it says to become a distributor, contact the sales or the product purchasing department. So the first thing I would do is I would send an email to sales@megaraypetcarelighting.com. And as part of the challenge, we actually provide you with email templates, the exact ones that I use in my business. We have 5 templates specifically for reaching out to brands like this. And we've got 5 templates specifically for reaching out to distributors. Okay. So really all you would need to do is just copy and paste one of those templates into an email, fire it over to sales, and see what the response is, right? So if they accept you, you get access to the pricing, you analyze it, and you see if it makes sense to sell on Amazon. If for some reason they deny you, let's say maybe they say, oh, well, we're not accepting any new Amazon sellers, right? Which, by the way, is a very common objection. My next move in that case is to then get them on the phone, right? Because what I found is the best accounts will deny you up front. And I know personally, my success rate for turning a no into a yes is about 20 to 30% if I can get that person on the phone, right?
Mm.
So if I email sales@megaraypetcarelighting.com and they shut me down, then usually in that email signature, there is going to be a phone number from either the person that sent the email or someone in sales, or maybe sometimes even the owner, if it's a small enough company. And so my strategy then is to call them up, which can take a few tries, get them on the phone and hear their reasoning for why they don't want me to become a retailer, right? I'm a legitimate business. I'm looking to spend big money. I'm looking to move volume product. Why wouldn't you want to work with me? Right. And
Yep.
sometimes they just don't. Sometimes it's a no and you got to move on. But like I said, 20 to 30% of the time I've had luck changing their minds. And those always end up being our best accounts.
Yeah, it's that like those small extra barrier to entries, those little like speed bump type things where like, okay, yeah, you could hire a virtual assistant to send thousands of emails, but you
Right.
can't really hire a personal assistant to call up the owners of the companies and actually strike up a conversation. So like doing that little
Exactly.
bit extra, getting on the phone, things like that. Yeah, same experience with us. We have way more success talking on the phone. Even like, I mean, if it's close, go in person. Like
Yeah.
the
Oh, I mean,
success rate
going in
just
person is
skyrockets.
you're practically 50-50 if you show up in
Yeah,
person, you know? And
yeah,
that's like for this business, that's pretty good.
yep. So we had a question over in chat: is do you use a CRM to schedule the follow-ups, like Salesforce, things like that? When you're as far as like, so you sent the email and you want to call back a couple days later or whatever it is.
And here, let me just stop sharing real quick so I can get you up on the center screen. So as far as the CRM is concerned, we've used so VendriveCRM.com is
Hmm.
actually an Amazon wholesale specific CRM. Dylan Carter, who created the Aura Repricer, he created Vendrive. That's a good starter CRM. I think it's only about $27 a month, but you can get away with a Google Sheet, right? We
Yep.
actually use a Google Sheet to this day. And then HubSpot has a free CRM that is also a good option.
Yep, I like it. And if you're feeling really creative, you could probably go to Chat GPT and have it
Oh
like
yeah.
code you your own CRM within
Yeah.
Google Sheets to like send
100%.
you reminders and stuff.
I
So
actually didn't think about that. I'm probably going to do that.
yeah, steal that, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So awesome.
And
All
then, I mean, if
right.
you want me to, we can find a couple more brands. I mean, that came from, I mean, probably what, 6 to 7 minutes of effort. And but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's literally just like do exactly what I did and find 50 brands with that method, reach out to all 50 brands using the email templates that I provide. And I
Mhm.
promise you, I guarantee you, you will land accounts. And at that point, it just comes down to getting the pricing, sourcing the products, and placing an order.
For
Right.
sure. Yeah, it's absolutely a numbers game. And I think, I mean, so you did that with Smart Scout. I've actually used Smart Scout for finding other local sellers like in my area
Yeah. It's
because
great
they
for
have like
that.
a
It's,
seller map
yep.
where everything is marked. But you could do a similar thing to what you were talking about. I'm not exactly the same, but similar. You could probably get by with Keepa for those of you guys who don't own Smart Scout, as far as like narrowing stuff down. But yeah, no, I like that approach of sort of like finding just a way of turning the ocean of opportunity into like, okay, we just want to fish in a small pond because
Exactly.
we can't be in the ocean. So find some companies that are selling some. I liked all those metrics. More than 3 sellers, I think, is really smart. Amazon being on less than 60% in this situation, I see that being really smart. Yeah, no, I loved all of that. If you guys have other questions, by the way, drop them in chat. Um, so yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Picking up the phones. What Corey was saying about this being a numbers game, like it absolutely is. It sort of reminds me of back in the day. Back in the day, way back in the day, I was a door-to-door salesman, and it was the kind of thing like a horrible job because you just hear 99 no's every single day.
Right.
But you got to sort of knock 100 doors because one out of 100 people will strike up a conversation. It's like, oh, actually, you know what? I do need cable.
Yep.
um, but yeah, it's a similar thing with wholesale, just not quite as egregious because most of these companies do actively want to sell you their stuff. That's why they exist.
Exactly. That's the thing is like in wholesale, at the end of the day, you are the customer, you have the power. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of Amazon sellers, especially if they're newer into the wholesale space, they feel like, oh, you know, the supplier, like they kind of have all the power. They
Uh-huh.
like I gotta kind of follow their lead. It's like, no, you're the customer, you're the one, you have the money, you're placing the orders. That's how you kind of want to position yourself, and that's how you want to come across because they're gonna take you a lot more seriously and they're gonna be willing to work with you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's that whole like being timid to sort of call them, like you feel like you're putting them out. I mean, I felt the same way when I was first like calling wholesale. People's like, oh, wait a second, like, or the same. I mean, even like arbitrage people, like talking to the managers, like a lot
Yep.
of people are kind of nervous, like, oh, can I talk to this manager? I don't want to like put him out. Like, no, his job is to sell products. Your
Right.
job is to buy products. You're both intersecting perfectly. Both of you want the other person. So,
Exactly. And a lot of them like make commission, right? They're
mhm,
incentivized when you spend money. So that's how you got to get. That's kind of how I frame it these days. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to put, $10,000 in your pocket this month. What can you do to help me do that? Right.
yep,
And kind of put the ball in their court. And when you take that approach and you're a little less timid and again, powers in your kind of in your hand, it becomes a totally different ballgame.
yep. Yeah, so, someone was saying door-to-door salesmen and Mormons should crush at wholesale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's kind of something I want to touch on too. And so I've said this in a couple of live streams this week already, but there's a certain kind of person that is very well suited to wholesale. And honestly, Nathan, you fit that mold perfectly. And it's people that are outgoing, they're energetic, they're not afraid to go get on the phone, they're not afraid to show up at the front door if they need to. Right? Those are the type of people that crush it. The relationship builders, the people that can build rapport, the salespeople at the end of the day,
Mhm.
right? And I can tell you have door to door sales experience. So do I. I've gone to literally hundreds of doors
The worst
selling.
job I've ever had in my life. I don't
But
want to
like, so
sugarcoat that.
when I did it, I had like a pressure washing business that I would do during the summer in college. And that was, I mean, that was my, like, that's how I got leads is I would go every door in my neighborhood, just knock on the door. And I would say like, hey, I'm in college. I'm pressure washing driveways in the neighborhood. I can give you a quote. And I mean, that was it. Like,
Uh-huh.
but I think people were a little more receptive maybe because I was younger in college. But I mean, we got doors slammed in the face all the time.
Oh, for
And I
sure.
think that was really good sales experience. So for sure.
Yep. Awesome. We've got a couple questions here, and then I want to chat a little bit about the wholesale challenge that's coming up. So let's see. We got the CRM. Someone was asking how do you sort of develop the mindset that you feel like is necessary for wholesale, being able to accept rejection and keep coming back to it, since it's just sort of a function of getting enough numbers in, right? Knocking on enough doors, picking up enough phones, all that.
Yeah, definitely. And so listen, here's the thing is it will be discouraging at times, right? It's not fun to hear no 20 times in a row from 20 different brands, especially if you put in time maybe researching their products or crafting a personalized email that you think they're going to be receptive to and they either don't respond or they respond harshly. Like that sucks. And at the end of the day, you've just got to train yourself to think that like if I do this consistently day in and day out over a specified period of time, I will be successful. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's how I got to where I am. That's how Larry Labarsky got to where he is. That's how anybody who's been successful in wholesale, and honestly, any business for that matter, is they've just put in the reps consistently for longer than everybody else. That's it. So my suggestion to people, especially if you're having trouble with rejection or if you're having trouble with even with motivation, is set a KPI, meaning key performance indicator, literally just a number of new companies that you want to talk to each day, right? Whether that's distributors,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's brands. And the thing is, that number doesn't even have to be big. It can be 2, it can be 3, right? But the key is doing it every single day. And I'm of the firm approach that it doesn't need to be 10, 15, 20 a day. As long as it's 2, 3, 5 quality, vetted, solid leads that like if I can get pricing here, this is going to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the types of leads I'm talking about. Doing that day in and day out for 30 days, I promise you, I swear to you, you will have a 6-figure wholesale business. And like
Yep.
I wish somebody would take me up on that bet, right? I wish somebody would do that and not get results because I don't think it's possible.
For sure. So, and just for curiosity, because I mean, we've got a lot of beginners here. There's people on YouTube asking questions. I see like Gabriel, Michael, people on Facebook asking questions. And we get this type of question a lot for arbitrage, and I'm curious to sort of hear your take on it as far as wholesale goes. People will see like these sales screenshots, like, oh, okay, I'm a 6-figure seller, I'm a 7-figure seller, whatever that is. And it's like, oh, but what is the profit? Oh, but what are you actually making? So
Right.
in your experience, because you've been doing this for a while, you've worked with a lot of people, you've taught other people how to do wholesale for a while. In your experience, what is sort of like the ballpark average for net profit? Like, let's say somebody sold $1 million of wholesale in a year, or $500,000 of wholesale in a year. What's sort of like some average net profits for people?
So that's a great question. And I will preface this by saying when it comes to wholesale, typically you're going to be trading a little bit of your margin for volume when compared to like an OA business, for
For
example,
sure.
right? So OA, you've got pretty good margins. It's a little harder to do higher volume. With wholesale, it's easier to do more volume, but margins are going to be a little smaller as a result. So if you're running a wholesale business at a 10% net margin, and now when I say net margin, I'm talking after all expenses, after you pay yourself a salary, by the way, and you're left with 10% net, that is a solid, healthy wholesale business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll
And
be completely honest, we operate around a 7 to 7.5 to 8% because of the fact that our business is more or less run by our team. My day-to-day
mhm,
involvement is anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. We have our logistics 100% outsourced to a 3PL, which other people might know as a prep center.
yep,
So when you take each of those things out of the equation and you kind of free up your time a little more, you're paying for that, right? So
for sure.
I'm personally willing to trade to maybe 3 points of net margin for a fully remote business
Uh-huh.
run by my team, more or less, that I don't have to show up to warehouse every day and pack boxes. You see what I
Yep,
mean?
for sure. And I think it's important to point out too, because everyone sort of defines net profit differently. It's important
Right.
to point out that he defined it as after you pay yourself. So this isn't like
Yep.
you sold 1 million and then you have 10, like you have 100,000 and then you pay yourself 100,000 and then you have zero
Yeah.
left. Like that's not what he's
Right.
talking about. He's saying like you're paying yourself a normal salary, and that's what's left over. That's how much your business is growing uh, after everything is said and done. So I like
Exactly.
that you pointed that out, and I want to make sure people heard those specific words and understood what they meant within these
Yep.
contexts. So awesome. Let's see. Don't start with your wish wholesalers. Start with several other guys that are not your top priority and get in the swing of things. Yep, I like that. Um,
Oh
someone
yeah,
was
that's good
asking
advice.
someone was asking for the best niche in wholesale. I mean, I'll take a swing at this and say I don't think that exists. Maybe Corey disagrees, but
So no, I agree. I agree. And I think, and I get that question a lot too. So I think the best niche is going to be specific to you. So it's going to come down to
mhm,
like, if you're passionate about a category or a type of product or maybe a hobby or an activity, then I say start there. So for example, I know pickleball is very popular these days, right? People love pickleball. So it might make sense to start in, let's say, the sports and outdoors main category, and then maybe niche down a little further into, maybe you don't have to go specifically into pickleball, because there might only be, there might not be like many pickleball specific distributors and maybe only a few like big pickleball brands. But maybe you're in like paddle sports, right? Maybe that's your niche. So
Hmm.
pickleball, tennis, ping pong. And when you think about that, it could be like, that can entail so many different things. There's pickleball racket brands, there's ball brands, there's gear brands, there's apparel brands, there's, all these different like categories within that subcategory of pickleball that could all be an individual niche in and of themselves. You see what I mean?
Yep. I love it.
And the thing is too, is like, if you know pickleball and you're into pickleball, you already know the big brands. You already know like what they're looking to do. You know the target, like you are a target. You're probably a customer, right? So you
Mhm.
can talk a lot more knowledgeably and a lot more confidently with some of these brands in that space that you're already familiar with.
Yep. And so I'll add my own little 2 cents to this. So I already said it doesn't really matter. I will add a small caveat though, in that sometimes if there are local companies to you, those can be fantastic because it's
Oh yeah,
local. So like you can have it shipped to you for significantly cheaper than most other people. You can go in person, which like quadruples or more your success rate in actually getting an account with them. You can see the products, you can talk to managers, you can build relationships. Wholesale is all about relationships. It's a numbers
everything. That's
game
all
about
it is.
relationships.
Yep.
It's like a weird twisted dating game.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's like
If
off,
you're a
like
horrible
backwards dating
person.
almost. Yeah.
But yeah, like so it's very much a numbers game. But going after local things, if there's like I don't know, a dog food factory in your town, like in my town growing up, like go to them, see if you can buy it directly from them, get it to you, and ship it out that way. You can probably get it a lot cheaper than other people. So yeah. Awesome. All right. So, Corey, I know you don't have a ton of time this evening. So, can you, before we take off, can you sort of give us the rundown? What is the Wholesale Challenge? When is it? Who is it for? What's it sort of about? All of that.
Yeah, so let me maybe take a quick second and tell you why we're doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
So the Wholesale Challenge, it's a live 7-day training on how to start, scale, and manage a fully remote 7-figure wholesale business just like mine. And now the reason that I partnered with Chris Grant to put this on is because this is exactly the type of thing I wish I would have had when I started in wholesale. And like I said at the beginning of this call, what I did is I pretty much took my last 4 years of wholesale experience, my last 6 years of Amazon experience, all the trial and error that's gone into that, all of the successes that have gone into that, and really compressed it into a 7-day training that is going to be 2 hours a night. There's going to be Q&A. Each day is going to be focused on a specific pillar of wholesale. So each day, like I said, dedicated to one of the core concepts of wholesale. There is a group community Facebook group that you get access to actually as soon as you sign up. So right now, we've got over 300 people in the Facebook group. Everybody that signed up's in there. This group is buzzing. There's people asking questions. There's people like networking. There's people that are found out they live down the street from each other. I mean, so like that's a really fun aspect of it as well. And then as far as the actual content itself, so there is going to be a lot of bonuses included that you also get access to as soon as you sign up, right? These aren't something that you have to wait till the end of the challenge to get, for example. And those are things like my virtual assistant playbook. So my guide for how to find, hire, and train rockstar virtual assistants, just like the ones I have. There's going to be my trade show playbook. So it's a guide on how to dominate trade shows as an Amazon seller. We've got a list of chat GPT prompts that you probably haven't used before to do things like to like optimize your listings, generate email templates, that type of stuff. We've got a ton of software discounts. We've got existing email templates for reaching out to both brands and distributors, a list of KPIs, so key performance indicators that you should be tracking in your business to make sure it's healthy, a set of standard operating procedures, like the exact checklists and templates that I use to manage my business, that my team uses to manage the business. And we're also going to have guest appearances throughout the week from industry experts, doing Q&As with them. And we're over delivering on this thing to a massive degree. And if any of you have taken the OA challenge, which is Chris's online arbitrage challenge, then you know exactly what to expect in terms of quality. And like I said, we've already got over 300 people signed up to join us. And this thing is going to be a game changer for
Yeah.
people, regardless of where they are in their wholesale journey.
Yeah, and it's such like an affordable price. I mean, we've talked about other wholesale things in the past, but this is such sort of like a nice affordable, like let's try to get you into wholesale, and
Right.
get you up and running. Like it's that kind of a thing, which I really like that format. So yeah, and I appreciate, like, I haven't, again, it's brand new, I haven't taken it myself, but Chris sort of put his stamp of approval on it. We know Chris, so it's like, all right, I'll give this a shot. If, if it goes horrible, and here's what I love about Chris too, if it goes horrible, there's like, they always do the 7-day refund, but Chris is like, no, we will pay you $50 if you feel like this was a waste of your time. We'll pay you $50, and I'm gonna add my own to that. So if you guys sign up for this, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a waste of my time, as sort of like, my bad, I probably shouldn't have promoted that. I will, besides for Chris paying you $50, I'll throw in my own. I'll give you a 30-minute coaching session for free, and we'll talk about other strategies, things like that. So I'm pretty sure that Corey is the real deal, but just in case he's not, I will throw in some more extra stuff in case you do all of that. But it's sort of
When
like that.
Chris calls it the slap your mother guarantee, where if you're not willing to slap your mother at the end of the challenge with the information that we gave you, then we're going to refund your money in full and pay you $50. So and not to mention the refund period lasts through the challenge. So you could theoretically do the whole thing and get your money back. I hope you don't do that, but it's an option. So, I mean, literally zero risk. That's how
For sure.
confident we are in the value. And if you thought the Smart Scout session today was helpful, I mean, we cover that in the challenge along with so many other methods, so many other things. So I'm very confident in it. I can't wait.
Yep, I love it. If you guys want more info, I've put links in the chat. There's also a QR code right here next to my face. You can scan that with your phone. You can get it from there. I'll probably post it another time. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, I'll leave this open for about another 5 or so minutes. If you guys have big questions, we'll kind of rapid fire, see how much we can get through. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Someone on Facebook says they're doing half wholesale, half OA. They are only doing wholesale from toys and games, and they're a bit scared of opening a new box. Would you suggest on focusing on like 1 or 2 categories to sort of build expertise within those categories, or it doesn't really matter?
So I always recommend people niche down. So it sounds like this person has a foothold in the toys and game space. And so chances are they're already selling brands in that space. They already know what products would do well in that space. I say double down on that. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to branch out into like tools, for example. If you've never sold tools, you don't know anything about tools. I think you have a great opportunity to reach out directly to some brands in that space and maybe get some brand direct accounts, while at the same time possibly reach out to some large toy and game distributors and maybe get access to 10, 50, 100 brands at a time through some of those suppliers as well.
For sure. Love it. Chris said, I didn't, Chris, you had a dog food factory in your town growing up that stunk to high heaven.
I believe it.
All right. Let's see. This person's agreeing with Corey's methods. Building a brand, having multiple sites and streams. Yep, love it. Awesome. All right. So yeah, I mean that's sort of everything, guys. If you've got more questions, we're gonna leave this video up. You'll be able to find it on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook group. So if you're watching sort of the replay of this, you can still get into all of this. So the wholesale challenge starts on Monday, which means it actually closes tomorrow. Like the last time to sign up for this is between now and about 24 hours from now. Which is why I wanted to get this video in before I left for my big trip. So if you guys are at all interested in this, make sure that you sign up for that. Scan the QR code or click the link in the comment section. Sign up for it. If you hate it or if it's horrible, we'll give you $50 and I'll give you a free coaching session as sort of a consolation. My bad. But yeah, it's very, very low risk or no risk, really anti-risk, because we'll pay you.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you're just gonna start drinking. It's sort of the whole like drinking info from the fire hose. That's what this is about with wholesale. So we've already done that with arbitrage here on our channels. I mean, that's arbitrage is our bread and butter. Chris has done that with the OA challenge. So anyone who's taken that is familiar with this, like, holy cow, over delivering, under promising, drinking from the fire hose. So if you're at all familiar with either our channel or with Chris's stuff, you sort of have an idea of where this is going. I think this is going to be incredible. But yeah, we'll see you guys in there. And yeah, if no one else has any questions, I think, let's see, is there a way to get involved in the background process? You'd probably have to shoot a message to Corey. Corey, do you have like you said you do YouTube stuff. What's your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so my YouTube is at Corey Ganem. But if you have any questions about the challenge, if you need any clarification or just questions in general, because I always answer my DMs, hit me up on Twitter at Ganem Corey. I'm super active there and I answer all questions, all DMs there.
Sweet. Awesome. All right, we are going to pop out here for the evening, guys. Again, if you want to sign up, there's a QR code up there and links in the comment section, and we will see you over there. All right, hustle on, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. See you guys.